You are invited to participate in a true multimedia experience coming to a home near you. LCM TV is bringing Lake County into the new millennium with news, live broadcast, information, music, talk shows, and local programming, all streaming in high definition online and soon to be on your Roku box. Join us at lcm-tv.com or be a part of our studio audience. You can also watch the shows at lakecomagazine.com as we provide programming to inform, enlighten, and maybe even enrage you. On Lake County Magazine Talk Show with Terry and Pete the Tax Guy, Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. Like racing? Try the Checkered Flag Show, hosted by Ace Naylor on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. All ages and divisions in regional and national fields. Joni Lane brings a positive light to you every Monday at 3 p.m. Pasha Space brings an international flair as they discuss ecological, health, and social issues in Haiti with people around the world. End up your week with positive, conscious sounds on Saturday at 9 a.m. with Sister T on the Bridge. This show is also simulcast on KMEC 105.1 FM in Ukiah. Our latest show, LCM TV News, is brought to you live Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at noon, and rebroadcast at 6:30 p.m. and noon daily, Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday, featuring national, regional, and local news, weather, and sports. We have it all here for you on your local TV station, LCM TV. Join us online and soon on Roku, giving you access to all the best Lake County has to offer. We are LCMTV.com, your multimedia connection. Tune in for the fun. It's live TV at its best.
I didn't get a count. Are we live?
Good afternoon. This is LCM TV News at noon. We're not your normal news. I'm Pete Schiffman.
I'm Megan Berger.
Thank you for joining us on this beautiful sunny Monday morning. Our lead story, Bobby Christina Brown, the only child of the late singer Whitney Houston, died Sunday, almost 6 months after she was found unresponsive in a bathtub, mirroring the way her superstar mother died in 2012. She was 22. Bobby Christina Brown passed away yesterday, July 26. Surrounded by her family, the Houston family said in a statement. Brown, whose father is R&B singer Bobby Brown, was born in the spotlight on March 4, 1993, and was often photographed with her iconic mother before Houston's death on the eve of the 2012 Grammy Awards. The singing sensation's death was ruled an accidental drowning in a bathtub, with cocaine and heart disease listed as contributing factors.
Fiat Chrysler must offer to buy back from customers more than 500,000 Ram pickup trucks and other vehicles in the biggest such action in U.S. history as part of a costly deal with safety regulators to settle legal problems in about 24 recalls. The Italian-American automaker also faces a record civil fine of up to $105 million. In addition, owners of more than 1 million older Jeeps with vulnerable rear-mounted gas tanks will be able to trade them in or be paid by Chrysler to have the vehicles repaired. The settlement is the latest sign that auto safety regulators are taking a more aggressive approach towards companies that fail to disclose defects or don't properly conduct a recall. The Ram pickups, which are the company's top-selling vehicle, have defective steering parts that can cause drivers to lose control. Some previous repairs have been unsuccessful, so Fiat Chrysler agreed to the buyback, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Owners also have the option of getting them repaired. The older Jeeps have fuel tanks located behind the rear axle with little to shield them in a rear crash. They can rupture and spill gasoline, causing a vehicle fire. At least 75 people have died in crash-related fires, although Fiat Chrysler maintains that they are as safe as comparable vehicles from the same era. Both the Jeep and the Ram measures are part of a larger settlement between the government and the automaker over allegations of misconduct in 23 recalls covering more than 11 million vehicles. Besides the civil penalty, which was reported Saturday by the Associated Press, Fiat Chrysler agreed to an independent recall monitor and a strict federal oversight. It's another step in the NHTSA's effort to right itself after being criticized for lapses and some highly publicized safety recalls. Models included in the buyback are certain Ram 1500s from 2009 to 2012, the Ram 1500 Mega Cab 4x4 from 2008, the Ram 2500 4x4, 3500 4x4, and the 4500 4x4, and the 5500 4x4, all from 2008 to 2012. All part of the offers are the 2009 Chrysler Aspen and Dodge Durango SUVs and the Dodge Dakota pickup from 2009 through 2011.
Jeez.
That's a
I got
hell of a
warn
large recall.
people I know with those vehicles.
Didn't know they made that many Ram trucks.
Yeah, all different weight sizes.
A California federal judge has ruled that hundreds of illegal immigrant women and children in U.S. holding facilities should be released. Another apparent setback for President Obama's immigration policy. U.S. District Judge Dolly Gee said Friday that the conditions in which the detainees are being held are deplorable and violent parts of the 18-year-old court settlement that put restrictions on the detention of migrant children. The ruling also raises questions about what the administration will do with the estimated 1,700 parents and children at 3 detention facilities, 2 in Texas and 1 in Pennsylvania. Last year, tens of thousands of women and unaccompanied minors from Central America arrived at the southwest border, with many believing a rumor that unaccompanied children and single parents with at least 1 child would be allowed to stay. More than 68,000 of them were apprehended and detained while officials decided whether they have a right to stay. Gee said in a ruling that children in the 2 Texas facilities had been held in substandard conditions and gave the administration until August 3rd to respond. The Texas facilities are run by private companies, while the one in Pennsylvania is run by a county government. Gee's decision is also seen as a victory for the immigrant rights lawyers who brought the case. The ruling upholds a tentative decision Gee made in April and comes a week after the 2 sides told her that they failed to reach a new settlement agreement as she had requested.
Leroy Smith, the director of the South Carolina Department of Public Safety, an African-American state trooper, saw a civilian in distress. He saw a white man attending a white supremacist rally in front of the South Carolina State House. He was wearing a black t-shirt emblazoned with a swastika, and he was an older civilian, spent on the granite steps of the South Carolina State House. He appeared to have been overcome by an unforgiving July sun and the recent permanent removal of the Confederate flag from the state capitol display. Smith motioned towards the fire chief, who was also an African American, and they began walking to the wilted white man up the steps towards the air-conditioned oasis of the State House. He looked fatigued, lethargic, and weak, said Mr. Smith. I knew there was something very wrong with him. Then, with his left arm around the man's back and his hand on the man's right arm, he walked the swastika-adorned demonstrator up the steps, as many as 40. Slowly, steadily, all while giving encouragement that he was going to make it. At this moment, Leroy Smith was a state trooper helping a civilian suffering from the heat of the day. A female demonstrator shadowed the climb. On the back of her black shirt appeared a familiar white supremacist slogan, "Because the beauty of the white Aryan woman must not perish from the earth." She kept asking Mr. Smith whether the man was going to be all right, as if his safety as well as his health might be in some jeopardy. A spokesman for the National Socialist Movement declined to identify the white older man, other than to say he's a senior citizen who doesn't need people knocking at his door. A neo-Nazi organization that, according to its website, believes only those of pure white blood, whatever their creed, may be members of the nation. Non-citizens may live in America only as guests and must be subject to laws for aliens. Accordingly, no Jew or homosexual may be a member of the nation. Leroy Smith ignored the National Socialist Movement's belief and did his job helping a citizen, no less a white supremacist, than when that citizen needed help.
You know, that was amazing how some people can't put their differences aside, and the gentleman did his job.
Being the better person,
Absolutely.
being an adult.
I'm just so upset they won't allow me into the club.
You have your
Poor
own
Mark
special
can't
club.
be in the club.
Executives from 13 major U.S. corporations will announce Monday at least $140 billion in new investments to decrease their carbon footprints as part of a White House initiative to recruit private commitments ahead of a United Nations Climate Change Summit later this year in Paris. Companies, including Apple, Berkshire Hathaway Energy Company, and Goldman Sachs Group, will join Secretary of State John Kerry and top administration officials at the White House for the announcement. In addition to pledges to cut emissions, provide financing in environmentally focused companies, and reduce water consumption, the companies have said they will produce 1,600 megawatts of new renewable energy, enough to power nearly 1.3 million homes. The White House said in a statement that expects to announce the second round of similar pledges later this fall from additional companies. The commitments are being announced as President Barack Obama is looking to build momentum toward a legacy-defining global climate accord in Paris. In addition to company-specific commitments, the corporate leaders will signal Monday that their support for a strong climate agreement out of the United Nations talks. The administration is using the pledges to set an example for companies to find ways to eliminate their carbon emissions. Among the pledges, aluminum manufacturer Alcoa Inc. has agreed to reduce emissions by 50% from its 2005 levels, while agricultural giant Cargill Inc. says 18% of its total energy will come from renewable sources. Coca-Cola Company said it will drive down the carbon footprint of its beverage production by 25% over the next 5 years, while Google says it plans to triple its purchases of renewable energy over the next decade. Berkshire Hathaway says it's planning to invest up to an additional $15 billion in the construction and operation of renewable energy generators, while Bank of America Corp. says it will increase environmental business initiative by $75 billion over the next decade, according to the White House. Other participating firms include Walmart Stores Inc., United Parcel Service Inc., PepsiCo Inc., Microsoft Corp., and General Motors Inc.
Researchers have discovered traces of opal on Mars, leading them to believe it may help prove that it was once home to life. The gemstone was discovered in a Martian meteorite, which fell to Earth in 1911. The opal was discovered by Glasgow University Earth scientist Martin Lee and his team while examining the Nakhla meteorite, which fell from Mars to Egypt over a century ago. After studying the space rock with a scanning electron microscope, the researchers found trace amounts of the gemstone, confirming readings from Martian rovers that opal indeed exists in the crust of the planet. The gemstone was likely created by the interaction of water with silica. It is the first time that a piece of Mars on Earth has been found to contain opal. The findings, published in the Journal of Meteorites and Planetary Science, could represent something much more significant than the mere presence of a gemstone. According to researchers, the opal may prove that life once existed on Mars. Lee said in a statement, "We know that on Earth, opals like these are often found in and around hot springs. Microbial life thrives in these conditions, and opal can trap and preserve these microbes for millions of years. If Martian microbes existed, it's possible they too may be preserved in opal deposits on the surface of Mars. Closer study of Martian opals by future missions to Mars could well help us learn more about the planet's past and whether it once held life. This is not the first time that Nakhla has provided scientists with valuable information. In 2013, the same team discovered that the first direct evidence of water dissolving on the surface of Mars. Named after the Egyptian town on which it fell in 1911, Nakhla is owned by the Natural History Museum in London.
They'll never make opal like Australian black opal. I'm sorry.
And
We'll be back.
We'll be back with regional news.
The taxman's taken all my dough and left me in my stately home, blazing on a sunny afternoon. And I can't sail my yacht, he's taken everything I got. All I've got's this sunny afternoon.
Manticorp Tax and Accounting can help you minimize taxation, establish a corporate presence, and save you money. Our over 25 years of experience in domestic and international taxation and incorporation services makes us the best at what we do. Your first consultation at Manticorp is always free, and our discounted rates guarantee you will not end up paying for what you don't get. Try Manticorp today. For more information, call 707-701-6416 or email info@manticorpusa.com.
In the summertime.
And we're back with your regional news. We do have some late breaking news. The Santa Cruz police and search rescue teams are looking for an 8-year-old girl who vanished Sunday night. Police say Madison, or Maddie Middleton, was last seen Sunday evening playing outside the Tannery Arts Center. The center is a publicly and privately funded community center that provides affordable housing and studios to musicians, artists, and dancers. It is across the street from the Santa Cruz Homeless Services Center a crowded gathering place with walk-in day services and shelter beds about a mile from downtown. The riverbike trail behind the tannery is one of the seediest parts of this beach town, frequented by drug addicts, mentally ill people, and patrolled regularly by police. The Santa Cruz Sentinel reports that she was visiting her mother, who lives there. A police spokeswoman, Joyce Blaschke, told the newspaper that video surveillance at the complex showed Madison there at 5:05 p.m. She has not been seen since. Police say the girl is 4 feet tall, weighs 48 pounds, and has long brown hair and dark eyes. She was last seen riding her Razor scooter and wearing a purple dress with black leggings, black flip-flops, and a black helmet. Authorities are searching the woodland and park areas around the Arts Center and the River Levy.
A brush fire that started in Lake Berryessa area of Napa County and burned more than 7,000 acres was about 75% contained as of this morning, according to CAL FIRE. Firefighters expect to reach full containment by Tuesday. The rag fire has burned in areas of Napa and Solano counties. Started Wednesday at 2:24 p.m. in the 7700 block of Highway 128 near Rag Canyon Road. The fire was initially thought to have been started by a vehicle crash, but the official cause is still under investigation. All evacuation orders due to the fire have been lifted, and there are no current road closures. The Lake Solano campground is currently closed for fire equipment.
4 firefighters were injured Sunday in the hot-burning Lowell blaze in Nevada County. The size of the fire was lowered to 1,500 acres after state officials completed a more accurate mapping of the blaze. CAL FIRE spokesman Daniel Berlant said via social media that the firefighters were airlifted out of the area with burn injuries and were being treated at the UC Davis Burn Center Sunday night. 3 of the firefighters, 2 from CAL FIRE and 1 from the U.S. Forest Service, should be treated and released this evening. The 4th firefighter from the U.S. Forest Service has been admitted with serious injuries. A CAL FIRE accident review team is investigating the incident. The fire appeared to slow down and head west after burning south since starting Saturday afternoon. No structural damage has been reported as of Sunday night, but 1,800 homes were still in danger. The fire was 15% contained with over 1,100 firefighters on the scene. CAL FIRE said it is expected to be contained by next weekend. Mandatory evacuations are in place for people in the foothill communities of Red Dog, Chalk Hill, and Ubet. An evacuation center has been opened at the Nevada Union High School.
You bet.
Okay.
California Attorney General Pamela Harris announced Friday she plans to review 2 undercover videos released by anti-abortion activists aimed at discrediting Planned Parenthood's procedures for providing fetal tissue to researchers to see if any law was broken in the filming. Harris made the announcement in a letter to 4 Democratic members of Congress who had requested the investigation, saying she'll use her office's authority to regulate charity organizations to see if the organization that made the videos violated registration or reporting requirements or broke any other rules. Harris said she will carefully review the allegations raised in the letter to determine whether there are any violations of California law. She said her office will look into allegations that individuals impersonated corporate officials from a fake biologics company, resulting in the release of secretly filmed videos of Planned Parenthood physicians without their consent. The video showed Dr. Mary Gatter, a Planned Parenthood medical director in Southern California, meeting with people posing as possible buyers of intact fetal specimens. The conversation is centered on the cost of the specimens. The video has shined the spotlight on Planned Parenthood's policies on aborted fetuses by 3 Republican-led congressional committees in 3 states. Federal law prohibits the commercial sale of fetal tissue, but allows the not-for-profit donation of tissue if the women who underwent abortions gave their consent. Planned Parenthood says the payments discussed in the videos pertain to reimbursement for the cost of procuring the tissue, which is legal. Gatter says in the second video, which was released on Tuesday, a week after the first, that we're not in it for the money, while also discussing whether a payment of $100 per fetal specimen would be adequate. Planned Parenthood spokesman Eric Ferrero said in a statement after the release of the second video that the organization behind the videos is a group of extremists who have intimidated women and doctors for years in their agenda to ban abortion completely.
For more than a year, the boy only known as Kyle in court papers was chained to a fireplace in Northern California home. His captors beat and starved him, and he testified. He managed to escape in late 2008 by hopping onto a trampoline and jumping over the fence, with the shackle clasped to his right leg. "Please hide me," were the first words out of the then 16-year-old's mouth, a witness said. This week, the County of Sacramento agreed to pay Kyle $4 million to settle a civil lawsuit filed in 2011, Kyle's attorney announced. The suit accused the county's child protective services and its social workers of negligence and protocol violations in the years leading up to Kyle's imprisonment and harrowing escape, which drew national headlines. "We can only hope this lawsuit will bring changes to CPS. Our fear is that other Kyles are out there suffering abuse that no child should ever endure," Attorney John Demas said in a statement.
The term sanctuary city has become a rallying cry for conservative Republicans seeking stiffer immigration laws. They characterize such places as havens where those in the country illegally are protected from immigration authorities. The reality behind the phrase is that while some cities actively thumb their noses at federal immigration policies, many refuse to enforce them not because of any moral obligation to immigrants. They fear lawsuits. Since the fatal shooting of Catherine Steinle on a San Francisco pier, allegedly by an immigrant who was released from jail, even though U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement sought to deport him from a sixth time. The debate over how to handle cities and counties that refuse to cooperate with immigration authorities has reached a feverish pitch. On Thursday, House Republicans passed a bill aimed at punishing cities that refuse to share information with federal immigration authorities, which the White House threatened to veto. While the bill doesn't specifically address the release of immigrants sought by federal authorities for deportation, the Republicans are pitching other legislation to do so.
A Newport Beach attorney was sentenced to prison time for his role in the sophisticated loan fraud schemes that amounted to more than $4 million in Orange and San Diego counties. Attorney Gino Paul Pietro was sentenced to 30 months collectively for activities that one judge said brought dishonor and disgrace to the entire legal profession, according to U.S. Attorney for the Central District of California, Laura Duffy. Because members of the bar are given special privileges, they are rightly held to a strict standard of honesty and fair dealing. Unfortunately, Pietro placed his own financial interests ahead of his obligations to his clients, to banks, and to the courts. Attorneys who engage in fraudulent conduct should not be surprised to find themselves in federal court, but this time as defendants. In one scheme, Pietro was convicted of his part in a sophisticated loan fraud scheme where a, quote, straw buyer would conceal his client's receipt of more than $4 million in commercial loans. Those loans were backed by the federal government, according to Duffy, and he was sentenced on Monday to 24 months in custody. U.S. District Judge Dana M. Sabra sentenced Pietro for defrauding the 6 different defendants and their families, 6 of whom who had entered the U.S. illegally, of $3,000 each. He told those families he was a licensed attorney who could globally resolve their criminal and immigration cases. He was sentenced to 6 months in custody. Pietro must repay the $18,000 in restitution for the San Diego victims of the fraud scheme. He will appear in court in Santa Ana on October 26th, where a judge will determine how much restitution to victims of the loan and fraud scheme he should pay. The 6 victims that had committed crimes by entering the country illegally didn't deserve this. He will report to prison on November 27th, 2015.
The American Beverage Association has sued the city of San Francisco, claiming new legislation requiring health warning labels on sugary beverages and prohibiting advertisements of them on city property violates the First Amendment. The lawsuit says the city is trying to ensure that there is no free marketplace of ideas, but instead only a government-imposed, one-sided public dialogue on the topic, in violation of the First Amendment. The Board of Supervisors in June unanimously approved an ordinance in June that requires health warnings on ads for sugary drinks. The measure requires those warnings be placed along ads on billboards, buses, transit shelters, posters, and stadiums. The label would read, "Warning, drinking beverages with added sugar contributes to obesity, diabetes, and tooth decay."
That's a fact.
We'll be back soon with the local news.
SSS Multimedia is sending you smoke signals. providing their clients with the ultimate communication and multimedia marketing, distribution, production, and web-based services. They feature high-def video equipment and quality audio sound. SSS is your multimedia source, from graphics for business cards to television production, radio, live sound, and everything in between. SSS is sending you smoke signals. Get your message out with SSS Multimedia. For more information, call 707-701-6416 or email info@sssmultimedia.com.
We're back with your local news. A fire threatened several apartments at a Cache Creek apartment complex Sunday, with an evacuation order issued. It was one of several blazes that erupted on Dam Road and in the Lower Lake neighborhood yesterday. All fires were put out by our vigilant firefighters, although they remained on scene to make sure the high winds did not restart or spread the fires. One resident reported that her grandmother's porch caught on fire, and one outbuilding as well further down the road. Last we checked, everybody was able to move back in.
Thank goodness. The hearing of an appeal following the Lake County Planning Commission's denial of proposed Kelseyville Dollar General was postponed once again. The Lake County Board of Supervisors decided to push the date back for a second time after District 2 Supervisor Jeff Smith announced he would be absent from the August 18th meeting. The original date, July 21st, was rescheduled because of conflicts as well. Rob Brown, supervisor for District 5, said he plans to recuse himself from the decision as he owns property that may be affected. On May 28th, the Lake County Planning Commission unanimously denied the major permit application of Cross Development for a 9,100 square foot Dollar General to be constructed near the Kelseyville High School.
The Lake County Planning Commission approved the environmental impact report for the proposed parcel split in the Cobb Vista subdivision of Middletown. At the same time, however, they denied the planning permit. The decision came down to curbs, gutters, and sidewalks. The subdivision of the property would have reduced the lot sizes to under 1 acre and increased the total number of parcels to 7, making them subject to a regulation in the county's general plan requiring them to have those items for public safety.
Members of the public who aren't able to get one of the farmers markets or can't find what they're looking for are reminded that Lake Co-op offers farmers market fresh Lake County produce and other grocery items through the Wiki online ordering website at www.lake.coop. You'll see, .com. Sorry about that, folks. You will see some of the same products available at the local markets this time of year, but we have expanded variety of products and produce from local producers, some who don't vend at the local farmers markets, said Lake Co-op Operations Manager Val Rasmussen.
Mendocino College and Mendocino County Resource Conservation District will host a workshop on rainwater catchments Saturday, August 1st. The free workshop will run from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Agricultural Buildings Room 6340 on the Mendocino College campus, Ukiah, at 1000 Hensley Creek Road. Learn how to access thousands of gallons of rainwater for garden and household. This hands-on class will provide you the skills to install a basic rainwater catchment system and the knowledge to comply with building codes. This is a perfect primer course for beginner builders. As part of the Mendocino Jumpstart Integrated Water Plan at Mendocino College, this class offers the community a way to learn a specialized skill and introduces sustainable tech students to the growing field of water conservation. Funding for this water plan is provided by the California Department of Water Resources. Anna Burkos, licensed engineering contractor and owner of Village Ecosystems, co-developed the curriculum and will lead the rainwater catchment class. As a designer and a builder of several water conservation systems, her experience will provide insight into basic water harvesting as well as more technologically complex systems. The Sustainable Technology Program, or SST, at Mendocino College provides hands-on training to students interested in construction, building efficiency, plumbing, and electrical installation. with a special view towards the sustainable link to the community, economy, and environment. You can follow the water plan at www.mcrcd.org/drought water conservation resources for updates and to learn about future classes in the Sarahscaping, wetland construction, plumbing, legal gray water systems, stormwater infiltration, and irrigation efficiency. Be prepared for the first fall rains. A single storm can fill your tank. To RSVP, call 707-462-3664, extension 104, or email joe.scriven, and I will spell it SCRIVEN, at mcrcd.org. Now, with the weather, I think we're going to reach our first 100 degrees of July this week. Today's forecast brings us sunny skies with the temperature around 94 degrees and winds from the northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight's will have a low of 66 degrees with clear skies, continuing through the night and winds shifting to the southeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tomorrow will be similar, but temperatures will be rising in a trend that will stay with us through the week, with the sunny skies and a high temperature of around 99 degrees. Winds will be out of the northeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour, and Tuesday night we'll have clear skies and a low of 67, winds shifting out of the southeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. When we join you back here on Wednesday, we will see the hottest day of the week with the temperature reaching up to 103 degrees during the day. Winds will be from the southeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour, and nighttime temperatures will stay near 70 with winds out of the southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. There's no chance of rain this week.
Oh, God, there goes my electric bill.
We've been lucky so far. It's got to come sometime.
What am I, back in Phoenix?
Yeah.
Jeez. In sports, 3 pitchers who became dominant after trades and a rock-solid catcher turned second baseman have a new moniker, Hall of Famer. Randy Johnson, Pedro Martinez, John Smoltz, and Craig Biggio were inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame on Sunday. I was in the spotlight one more time with at least 40,000 fans cheering. For Martinez, the last to speak, the moment was magical as scores in the crowd waved Dominican flags for one of their own. Martinez, who also delivered part of the speech in Spanish, and former Giants great Juan Marichal, elected in 1983, are the only Hall of Famers from the Caribbean nation. Playing through an era tainted by steroids and ruled by offense, compliments of bulked-up sluggers, a smaller strike zone, and smaller ballparks, Johnson, Martinez, and Smoltz proved indomitable. They combined for 735 wins, 11,113 strikeouts, and 9 Cy Young Awards. Biggio, who played 4 positions in his 20-year career, all with the Houston Astros, becoming an all-star at second base and behind the plate. Johnson became a 20-game winner in 1997 and won 4 consecutive Cy Young Awards with the Arizona Diamondbacks, leading them to the World Series championship in 2001. He finished with 303 victories in 22 seasons. Smoltz, who won the 1996 Cy Young Award and reached the playoffs 14 times for Atlanta. The Rays won 5 pennants in the 1995 World Series with Smoltz on the roster. He's the first pitcher to win more than 200 games and save at least 150. He's also the first player inducted with a Tommy John surgery on his resume. That's a lot. Riding a canary yellow bike, Chris Froome has won his second Tour de France in 3 years, with a leisurely pedal into Paris to wrap up a spectacular 3-week slog of furious racing that culminated with a thrilling late fight back by the British rider's toughest rival, Colombian Nairo Quintana. Cheered on by the champs Elise under...
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Champs-Élysées.
Thank you. I don't speak French, guys. Under suitably rainy skies for Britain's 3rd win in the 112-year-old race, Froome took it easy on the last stage 21. His work done having grimly resisted Quintana's last-ditch assault on his hard-won Tour lead on Saturday on the final Alpine ascent. Just when Froome first won in 2013, Quintana is again runner-up, although the margin is much smaller this time.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
That's all right. I was going to ask you
I
before
was waiting
that.
for it. I was like, I hope there's no French names in there. So I knew there would be.
My luck. Madison Bumgarner made all the difference Saturday at AT&T Park with his bat. The ace starter Chris Bassett, who hadn't hit since high school, had joked one day earlier about hitting a ball into McCovey Cove. Instead, it was the opposing starter Bumgarner who took him deep in the 3rd inning, and the Giants tacked on a 2-out run in the 6th and a 2-1 victory over the A's. It was the 10th win in 11 games for the Giants and the 4th loss in 5 games for Oakland. Bumgarner's homer was his 3rd of the season. The A's are usually tough on Bumgarner. Entering the day, he was 1-2 with a 6.41 ERA against them. Although A's manager Bob Melvin noted before the game that not many current Oakland Raiders were even had an at-bat against him. Only 4 to be precise, and Josh Reddick wasn't in the lineup. The A's have scored no more than 2 runs in 12 of the past 24 games. The A's are Major League worst 10-23 in one-run games and are now 12 games back of the division-leading Astros. The Giants, having won 9 out of the last 10 games, is only 1 game back from the Dodgers. Come on, Diamondbacks.
Okay, final word.
Stay tuned on this one, folks.
A man expecting to have paid sex with 2 women at a Ukiah motel was instead swindled out of his wallet, cell phone, and clothing, leaving him naked and exposed, according to the Ukiah Police Department. Police are asking for the public's help solving the crime. The suspects and the victim went to a Motel 6 Monday evening on South State Street, where the women asked the man to take a shower. While he was bathing, he heard them leave the room. When he emerged from the shower, he discovered they'd taken his belongings and most of the towels in the room, leaving him with nothing but a small towel with which he attempted to cover himself up with. Officers did not locate the woman, but found a witness who reported seeing 2 women running from the area. The witness said he followed them for a short distance, but then lost sight of the pair. He located some jeans, which he returned to the scene. Police asked that anyone with information about the incident contact the police department.
There's
I
some
call
lessons
that
somewhere
instant
there.
karma. You break the law.
You pay the price.
Yeah.
What can I say?
So who's really the victim or the suspect here? They were both
They
committing.
left him 1 towel.
You got a towel.
Yes, anyway. Well, thanks for joining us, folks, on this Monday. Our next live show is The Positive Light at 3 o'clock this afternoon. And we'll be back Wednesday at noon once again with Not Your Normal News. I'm Pete Schiffman.
I'm Megan Berger.
Have a good rest of the day.
Stay cool.